getting drunk, are you ready to meet me? I'm lit and I'm riding the fast lane. Don't let me down, I'm on fire.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? Welcome to another session of Masterclass with Tope Bandele. It's good to have everyone here today, and today is actually a special, very, very special session. For those of you that have been following us, you know that we actually hold Masterclass on Saturdays. Okay, but today it's a special one, and because today is Children's Day, and we really want to have a children's edition of Masterclass with Tope Bandele. How are you doing? How are you? How is it from wherever you're joining us from, all over the world? So good evening, good morning, good afternoon. Welcome once again to Masterclass. If you have your child around you, let them come. Just put on your videos. Let's celebrate them. And that's why I started with, okay, so I'm going to unmute everyone. I'm going to allow you to unmute yourself. Just a second. Okay. So you can unmute yourself now. I can see a child there from Miriam. So if you have your child around and you want your child to just say something in celebration of hey, cutie, how are you?
Hi.
How are you? Do you want to say something to us?
I'm fine.
You're fine. Amazing. All right. So what's your name?
I'm Toluwalashe.
Toluwalashe. How old are you?
Yes, sir. I'm 11.
Okay, I can see Toluwalashe speaking, and also the cute little boy from Miriam's phone also want to say something. Amazing. How are you, Toluwalashe? Good to see you, cute. Oh my God. Wow. All right. So you're already making me feel like today's going to be so unconventional. It's not just going to be like the usual masterclass. We're probably going to have a very interesting class with the kids. Amazing. But still, you still have to let us do our show, okay? Toluwalashe, you've been following MCTB for how long? How long have you been following this program?
This is my first time.
First time. Interesting. Nice to have you. All right. So tell mommy to join the MCTB network. Then you can enjoy our games on Sundays as well. All right. So let's go straight into this program. So today is a special one, and I am partnering with Sane Mind. All right. You'll hear a lot about Sane Mind in the program of today, and we are bringing to you a topic around protecting your child's mental health. Protecting your child's mental health. So this is MCTB Module 21. And I have an amazing guest in the house. Drum rolls. Okay, so by the way, it took me a long time to get that. And thanks so much to Bill Case Adewale, who was able to help us get our guest of today in. All right, so our guest today is by the name Ruqoyah Ogunbiyi. She's a child and adolescent mental health professional and a founder of Sane Mind. And Sane Mind is an organization that provides products and services to build confidence and resilience in children. Over the past 6 years, Ruqoyah has built her expertise in child mental health, designing interventions that promote mental wellness in children and address academic, behavioral, and emotional challenges children go through. She has trained over 5,000 parents. Can you beat that? Over 5,000 parents, teachers, and corporate professionals on different aspects of mental health. Through our organization, she has consulted for over 100 families on confidence building, family therapy, and child psychotherapy. The Sane Mind Positive Affirmation flashcards, which you're going to hear about also in the program of today, and family bonding calendar are being used by over 1,000 families across Nigeria, Ghana, and Kenya. I'm going to bring out to Ivory Coast. Our 2021 goal is to build confidence and resilience in 4,000 children through child-friendly products and campaigns. Ruqoyah has a degree in pharmacy and a master's degree in child and Adolescent Mental Health from Africa's premier center for child and adolescent mental health, where she finished among top 3 in her class. I wish I did. When she isn't teaching or reading about child mental health, she scribbles in her notes words that inspire and inspire her and whoever she whisper to. Ladies and gentlemen, drum roll. Welcome, Ruqoyah. Okay, you need to. I will ask you to unmute now. Yeah, I hope you can unmute yourself over there. Just do that.
Hi, hello. Thank you. I can see the comment section doing the drum roll. I'm like, that's really beautiful. Thank you.
You have to come to Canada too, right? Yes. So we're gonna make that up. Okay.
I didn't hear you.
Becky says you have to come to Canada as well. I can see it.
She's saying, so she tells me all the time that she's bought the flashcards for some people in Canada before, that I should keep adding Canada to it, but I keep forgetting. So maybe we should edit that part and say 1,000 children across Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, and Canada.
That's fine. So let's do that. So I've read out your profile. That's quite rich. Okay, and I know it's really not exhaustive. Okay, so what exactly, in one word, is what you do? So you're a child mental advocate or something. So tell us exactly. It's a bit ambiguous for some of us on the program. So what do you do? What are you known for?
Okay. So I like to say that I'm your child's godmother. I'm the one that ensures that everything I'm literally the person who is fighting for your child in the background, particularly around circumstances that we have normalized or we misconstrue as just traditional. So for example, I will be the one to roll my eyes at you when you say that, oh, my child is just being lazy. That's why my 7-year-old has not started reading. I'll roll my eyes at you and fight you, because your 7-year-old cannot say, what I've chosen to do this 7th birthday of mine is frustrate my mom and not know how to read. They definitely have some sort of difficulty, right? So I'm your child's godmother, and all I am consistently always talking about and advocating for is to address childhood difficulties, emotional, psychological, academic difficulties, and that is basically what I do. I help address them and create products that actually build wellness in children, psychological wellness in children.
Amazing, amazing. Tell us a bit about your success story. Maybe that will also inspire us, we parents, on the show today. So before we go straight into what we're going to talk about, I really want to know, what are your success stories? And guys, ladies and gentlemen, mothers and fathers, for those of you that are already familiar with MCTB, is a mute class. So everything you really need to say, questions, eureka moments, or punchlines, use your comment section button there. So just click there and put your questions. I will moderate and take them for you. So, Ruqoyah, tell us about your success stories.
Okay, my success stories with regards working with families, or my personal success story?
Everything. Your personal success stories, as then also a success story about working with families. What have you done with them? What are you proud of?
Okay, so let me start with what I'm proud of. So one time in January, my brand was going to do a lifestyle. No, it was not January. It was December. We were going to do a video about one of our products. So I had to reach out to all the people who had bought our products in the past. And I called someone who had bought the product. And I said, hi, my name is Ruqoyah Ogunbiyi. I'm the founder of Sane. I'm your child's godmother. Before I could even finish, she screamed, oh, my child's godmother, how are you? You called me today. I was like, oh, thank you so much. And then I was trying to tell her that we wanted testimonials from people who have used our products, our positive affirmation flashcard. And she said she was busy, that she would like us to schedule a Zoom meeting. When she scheduled the Zoom meeting, she came on, she actually scheduled the Zoom meeting, sent me a calendar invite and all that. And then she said, you saved my son's life. And you know, of course, I've heard things like this, but this is coming from someone who is just using one of my products. It's just a product that she bought from us. And then she went on to say that, oh, she's a single parent and her son was consistently being teased in school. And every time they would tease him that, oh, you don't have a daddy and all that. And so he also had some physical disabilities like that, and people would tease him consistently. And before she got our product, she said her son would ask her different questions like, oh, why did God create me like this? Why don't I have things like this? You know, he would ask a lot of questions. And then Corona came. The boy, there was lockdown and all that. And then she said, give me a moment. My device seemed like it's going to go off. Give me a moment. I need to go off video now. My device is going off. I don't know why. Give me a moment.
Okay. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, so for those of you that are just joining, welcome once again. Ruqoyah will join us back in a moment, but today we really will be going into the topic around your child's mental health, which a lot of us had actually either overlooked or actually deprioritized. So we've been chasing a lot of things. We've been chasing their physical health. Most times you want to know, you want to touch them in the morning. You're running temperature. What do I need to do? Do you know what temperature they're running their place? Yeah, I keep saying this to my wife a lot of time. And okay, OJ is looking dull. Yeah, should he go to the hospital? I said, come on, who tells you or who is saying that OJ is sick? Okay, OJ is my son. He'll be 10 in September. Because he's just keeping quiet, not talking to anyone, then you already conclude that OJ is sick. Yeah, so a lot of things until you probably get to the well. I'm not a mental health advocate, so let's leave it to the experts. Let's leave it to the expert.
Right.
By the way, yeah.
So thank you for that short break. And I apologize for that. So as I was saying, she went on to say that Corona came on, and they were indoors all the time. He was getting frustrated with school. He was missing his friends, even though it wasn't like I said, he had lots of friends, but the social interaction was really, really low. So are you with me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right. So and then it was during that period she got the flashcards. So she got the flashcards and she would recite the affirmations to him morning and night. And after about 6 weeks, so with each pack of the flashcard, then there's usually a family bonding calendar that has different activities that parent and child would do together. And in one of those days, they had the activity was Real Talk Day, where they had to talk about their feelings. And this 9-year-old boy had told his mom that, you have changed, mommy. And the mother was like, ow. Said, now you say really nice things to me, and I like those cards you got me. And before, when we were still in school, it was referring to before Corona, I used to think that what if I was no longer here? But now I know that I am loved, I am wanted, I am important. And that's actually one of the cards on that affirmation. When she told me that story, I cried, because when I designed that card, I designed it from the understanding that our thoughts affect our feelings and then our behavior. And children are not different from adults as we would like to think. They also have thoughts, they also have feelings, they also have behavior. And these thoughts can actually overwhelm them sometimes. So I designed this product to actually help children start developing positive mindset from now, because if they're able to do that, it will follow them up into adulthood. I didn't even think that it had that much capacity until the woman told me that story. That particular story, consistently, I wrote, in fact, we had that video, and then I wrote it down in my notes. So anytime, say, Nigeria is frustrating me with, running a business, and I look at my certificate and I'm like, can I just dust you and go to Canada? I just be like, there's one boy living in Ikeja, there's one boy living in Shomolu, there's one boy, because the Canadian boy is going to have access to all these services regardless of whether I'm there or not. But there's one boy there in Agege whose mom will come across our Instagram page and be like, oh, this thing is nice, and she'll buy it for her son, or she'll buy it for her daughter. And this would literally be their story. So that is actually one of my that is my own very huge success story. Then for my clients, of course, consistently, I've had parents call me and talk about how life-changing our sessions together had been. I remember in 2019, in 2019, a mom called me and said, the school, so what had happened is the girl was supposed to go home she's in a boarding school, she was in JSS 1 or 2, I can't remember at the time. So she was supposed to just go home for a short visit. So the mom came to pick her. And the mom noticed that she packed all her bags. And the mom was like, girl, you're coming back to school. Why are you packing all your bags? She said, no, she's not coming back. Her mom thought she was joking, that after the weekend, she was going to come back. And then on Monday, because it was a boarding school, so she was still throwing the tantrums, like, she doesn't want to go back. So the mom said, okay, I'll take you back on Tuesday or something. I think it was an Easter break. I can't remember. It was like a long holiday like that. So the mom, so someone called, the class teacher called the mom from school, and they had seen a note that she had written in a note, in one of her notes, 10 ways to kill myself. So, and I remember, wow. I know that these things may seem like, oh my God, but the thing is, as we go on in this class, we would continuously, I would shed light to all the things that lead up to all these kind of things. So the mother saw that and then called, and then she booked the session. And I think they had one session, and we had different activities that they had to do over a couple of 6 weeks and all that. And she sent me a message one day, and then she said, my daughter is doing really well. She was adjusted, and she went on and talked about how that was life-changing for her. And this is like all the time when I do sessions or when I interact with parents, they will talk about how life-changing it has been for them. So those are my success stories, consistently living my dreams, right?
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thanks so much for sharing. That was quite inspiring. So let's go straight into it. How would you define a child's mental health?
Okay, so the same way we have physical health, mental health, and we have physical illnesses, we have mental illnesses. That's the same thing. That's the same thing we have when it comes to mental health and mental illnesses. But unfortunately, many times when people hear mental health, they would automatically associate it with mental illness, and then people will talk about mental health in the same breath with depression, in the same breath with being crazy and all that. So mental health is that state of wellness, that complete state of wellness. And for children, it has 5 core pillars. For children, it has 5 core pillars. And as I continue to explain these pillars, I would want everyone to literally bring out their notepad, because many times these core pillars, we miss them. We miss them, right? So let me allow you get your own notepad, and I'll get to it. All right.
Okay, yeah, please go ahead. I have my.
All right. Here. So when we talk about children's mental health, as I said, we have 5 core pillars. The first one is optimal psychological and emotional development. So when I came into this class, for example, I smiled. I was excited to be here. You introduced me. You smiled, and in introducing me, you put different. You did a drum roll. Nobody exactly taught you that. Oh, when you're trying to invite someone to this platform, you have to welcome them warmly. It is a social cue. It is what you develop into. As you get older, you greet people. As you get older, you say bye-bye. So optimal psychological and emotional development is all about a child developing based on the psychological and emotional developmental milestones. So we all know the physical developmental milestone. Oh, my child achieved night control at age 4 months. My child started sitting at 6 months. My child said the first word at this age. My child this. But psychological and emotional developmental milestones are usually missed. So a prominent one is the strange anxiety we see at age 6 months. So you have a 6-month-old baby who's seeing their cousin or their big uncle for the first time. And that big uncle is like, Toluwalashe, and let's assume Toluwalashe, the last time he saw Toluwalashe was when Toluwalashe was 6 weeks. He's like, Toluwalashe is not a big boy. And out of excitement, he stretches his hand. Toluwalashe will be like, no, I don't know you. We'll just call back to the mother. straight up at 6 months and 6 to 7 months. They would coil back like, I don't know you. But that 6 weeks baby allowed anybody carry them. They didn't have a problem. They wouldn't even coil back. They didn't exactly, would say, don't carry me, carry me. But by age 6 months, they would now know who their primary caregiver is and who a stranger is. That is a core developmental milestone, a psychological developmental milestone, because it means that this child has been able to recognize their caregiver. This child is able to recognize a stranger. It's the reason up until now, you see, you walk into a room, you see someone, a familiar face, you smile at them. The person you are not exactly familiar with, you just keep calm and just be going like, I don't really know them. So those are actually, so when we're looking at adults, well-functioning adults, socially adjusted adults, when we look at all the characteristics we're looking at in them, just take a step back. It all starts from that psychological and emotional developmental milestone. Because if a child does not recognize their primary caregiver, it means that they have not formed that emotional bond. They have not formed that connection that is essential. And it means that anybody can carry that child. It means that that child does not have the sense of, oh, this is the person I'm close to. This is the person I don't know. And it means that, so in fact, in some early neurodevelopmental disorders like autism, those are actually early markers. So, right, so optimal psychological and emotional development. And in emotional development, that's where we have emotional regulation. So for example, your baby at 4 weeks will cry for everything they want. They are tired, they cry. They are bored, they cry. They want food, they cry. They are wet, they cry. Their pampers or whatever, their, what's it called, nappy or whatever is wet, they would cry. But then as they get older, at toddler age, say age 3, they would wait a little to say, mommy is boiling the food. Oh yeah, wait small now. They may not cry, they may throw a little tantrum. But your 7-year-old will not even cry if your food is on fire. You just tell the child that, oh, I'm cooking, the food is ready, will soon be ready. 7-year-old will not even think about it. In fact, as your children get older, they will not even come and ask you for food. They'll just check if the food is ready and
go there themselves.
Right. So that's how emotional regulation also develops, because you also want a situation where your child is overwhelmed by a particular emotion, but then they're able to regulate themselves back again. So optimal psychological and emotional development is the first pillar. The second one is ability to form, build, and maintain relationships. Remember when I was going to give an example of psychological developmental milestone, I gave stranger anxiety. That's because, of course, the child has been able to form, build, and maintain that relationship. So, for example, I usually like to give this example that if some children, say if 5 children grow up in the same neighborhood and their families are friends, those babies, right? Maybe they give birth to them on the same day, and maybe they live in the same estate or the same building, right? And the parents are close. Those children will form that relationship from about age 18 months. They'll start playing together up until their teenage years. That relationship will be there. So that's ability to form, build, and maintain relationship is also another pillar. So when a child is not able to form, build, or maintain relationship, that could actually also be a sign. In fact, I think there's a particular syndrome, I can't remember exactly now, because by age 10, the child is supposed to have a best friend. There's supposed to be one person that you know that, this is my son's best friend, this is my daughter's best friend. And that inability, so when children have inability to form that kind of relationship, it actually is usually an early sign for another psychological disorder in teenage years. Right.
Can I pick you on something there?
Yes, please.
Does that mean that if I have a child that is very, very quiet and do not really want to mix with people, is that an indication that the child might have a psychological disorder?
See me screen, opening my eyes. Even the most quiet, even the most quiet child has a friend. They may not be the one that enters the room and then they are the life of the party. Like, hello, Taiwo is here. Taiwo, everybody come and meet Taiwo. But then Kehinde can just be there and just go and meet Joshua. Hi, Joshua. See my book. Right. So again, so the child may not be the life of the party, but then they would have a friend. Also, so again, that's also something I'm going to touch on. The inability of a child to mix well in social environment could also show, not necessarily like, oh, this is a psychological disorder, but could also show the strength and difficulty with regards to temperament of that child. So for example, Taiwo that would enter a place and be like, oh, hello, Taiwo is here, Joshua is here. That means that one of the core strengths of that temperament is that social skills is innate to this child. This child will be able to develop their social skills. But you see the other one, the Kenny or the Kenny of that Taiwo, that would just come in, not greet anybody. Even if they're greeting them, they're not answering. Leave me alone. Hi, Joshua, see my book. Have you seen my book? They only talk to one person. It also now means that with regards to temperament, social skills is not a strength for that child. So that child is the child you want to ensure that, okay, you're arranging play dates for, because it means that they can get older and social skills will be deficient, right? So it's not about whether the child is shy. It's more about their ability to socialize. So they can have one friend, but then they should be able to say hello, hi to their friend and to their colleague. They should be able to make presentations in public. So they may not be the life of the party. Taiwo is the life of the party. But Kehinde can come in, say hi to Joshua. If Joyce is saying hi to her, say hi. If it's time for break and Joshua is not available, he can still go with another person, right? So I needed to quickly clear that before all the people with shy children or introvert children be like, oh, something's wrong. No, nothing's wrong with your child. But it also helps you to understand that based on temperament, your child can have different strengths. The extrovert has social skills as their as their strength. The introvert wouldn't have that, right? Okay. So the third, I've said optimal psychological and emotional development. I've talked about forming, building, and maintaining relationships. The third one is positive sense of self. So I usually like to give this
positive sense of self.
Positive sense of self. Sense of self. So I like to give this example. So for example, you'd notice when we put on the video, in fact, I think before we even put on the video, Mariam's son, I think the boy was the son, the cute child we saw earlier. He didn't care whether it was a meeting or not. He came on, started talking. They even asked Toluwalashe, I think. I don't know if the other child's name is Toluwalashe. How old are you? He said 3 years old. He even answered. Toluwalashe is still, comforted. Toluwalashe has siblings around her. I think they look like 7-year-old, 5-year-olds. They're all comforted. Yeah. If she had a 3-year-old there, the 3-year-old will struggle with her. That is me that wants to talk. So positive sense of self is just that as children, right from very young ages, right? Children just have that, I want to be a part of this. This is something that I like. I just want to do it. However, as they get older, a major psychological milestone that children will go through is acceptance and belonging. So because I want people to like me, I may not want to talk too much. But 3-year-olds don't care whether you like me or not. They see daddy on a call. They see other people on the other end. They want to say something, they say it. But your 7-year-old will, of course, understand social cues, but will not just jump into a discussion that they did not call him. In fact, if your 7-year-old feels like saying something, he will not talk. He will be, playing with his finger. Joshua, do you have something to say? I know, don't worry, I studied child psychology. Do you have something to say? No, I want to say something. Talk to me now. I want to buy biscuits. Oh, you want to buy biscuits? If it was a 3-year-old, the 3-year-old would say straight, Auntie, give me biscuits. Give me money. I want biscuits. Straight. Right. So positive sense of self. Positive sense of self is an essential pillar to overall wellness, because this is what eventually determines self-worth, confidence, self-esteem. And because, again, as I said, a major developmental milestone children will go through is peer acceptance, sense of belonging, peer pressure. So in also trying to achieve those ones, positive sense of self begin to get lowered. So that is also one of the reasons I even made that that analogy of Taiwo and Kendi, that when you also understand that this child innately is the life of the party, that's great. The one that is not life of the party, it also now means that while you are helping them improving social skills, confidence too is something you want to work on in these kind of children. Because if you don't, they only have one friend. When children are quiet and they're not all over the place, they are more likely to be teased by their peers. It means that as they get older, their own confidence can be getting lowered. While Taiwo, who is the life of the party, is consistently being reinforced by the attention he gets from other people. So sense of self is increasing. So positive sense of self is very essential because, again, the reason I'm here projecting my voice, able to talk to you clearly, is because I am confident in my delivery of this subject matter. However, if I was not confident, I could have sent you a message that date I'm not available. And it's also something you would notice when people would say things like, I'm too shy for video. Like, Mommy Junior, tell us the truth. Are you shy for video or you're not exactly confident? You know, things like that. And these are really, really important concepts, because when we say that we want to raise intelligent, sociable, well-adjusted, successful adults, it means that what we're saying is when this person is asked to say something in a meeting, they're not saying, I don't have anything to say, when they actually have something to say, the positive sense of self. And many times your self-esteem from childhood project onto you as you get older. And for many of us as adults, we're in one program or the other, except if you're not being very intentional about yourself. With the way we were raised, except for people who had outliers as parents, with the way we were raised, half of us would definitely be in one program or the other to help us understand our self-worth, understand our confidence, or we've gone through programs like that, right? So positive sense of self is an important pillar when it comes to child mental health. The fourth one is ability to learn and acquire education. So I have a friend. So we were going to work on a project together. So I told her, let's talk about it on Zoom. And then I was waiting. I think I was waiting for her to send me the link or something. It took her like about 20 minutes. And then when she finally came on, she said, I don't know how to do Zoom. It's my 8-year-old daughter that did it. I was like, wow. God, this is intelligent. Please, may I meet your daughter? And this helps me to teach you this concept of ability to learn and acquire education. Children learn, and it's not just in school they learn. And how they learn. So for example, I asked that my friend, did you ever, at any time, sit your daughter down to tell her this is how to operate Zoom? She said she doesn't even know how to use it, so she doesn't know. So apparently throughout all the time they were doing online class, the child will pay attention to how, the Zoom link was created, things were created, and she learned it. So the innate ability to learn is resident in each child. However, when they start school, they can begin to have some difficulties, but it does not negate the fact that they can learn, right? So ability to learn and acquire an education is another important pillar. So when a child is having a difficulty, so they can't read at 7, they can't read at 9, or they're having peculiar challenges with their writing or their spellings, that is a difficulty in that aspect, not necessarily like they have overall difficulty with learning, because that same child probably can operate your phone, can do this, can do so many other things. So that is the fourth pillar. And the fifth pillar is...
Can I ask a question there also? Because the last thing you said now just triggers my thoughts on a particular girl that my wife usually talk about. She's teaching, by the way, and there's this child in our class that cannot figure things out together. If you tell her something today, she actually cannot remember again tomorrow. But when it comes to ability to be creative, this child can form her own story herself. And if you ask her the same thing she created in another 3 weeks, she will tell you word for word.
For word.
But if it's something that you told her, she cannot remember the following day. So now, how do you, that kind of child, would you say she's deficient or she doesn't have the ability to learn and acquire education? But by the way, she's creative. She has written a book. Can you believe that?
You remember how I said if a child is having a difficulty?
She has written a book.
Absolutely. So you remember how I said, are you with me? I think there's a lag.
Yes.
Okay. Remember how I said that if a child is having a difficulty in a particular area, does not mean that they can't learn. So for example, what I would just say straight up from
I don't know if it's from me. or from you. Ladies and gentlemen, if you can still hear me, just put it in the comment section. I cannot hear Ruqoyah again, but I want to be sure that it is not my own network. Can you still hear me? Okay, it's not mine. Okay, yeah, you can hear me, but I think she's having some difficulties also with our network there. But it's quite amazing. I want to believe that you're all learning. I'm actually learning, not just because I'm hosting this show, but learning a lot because I'm also a parent. I'm a father. I have three kids, 10, 8, and 3. So everything she has said today actually resonates with me because I can see my 10-year-old, will be 10 in September though. Now I feel it was withdrawing. But listening to Ruqoyah today made me to understand that she is actually not withdrawing. He's actually growing. Okay. While my 3-year-old is everywhere. They literally had to kind of pin her down somewhere now. Otherwise, you would have seen her everywhere. She doesn't really care if I'm in a meeting or not. She's there all the time. She wants attention. She does not ask questions. She just wants it. While the older ones will ask you for permission, they will ask questions. They don't just jump into it. So I really can align with everything she has said, and I hope you're also taking your notes too. Okay, so we have Ruqoyah back. No, I may have to ask you to unmute. Okay, you can unmute yourself now. Yes, you're back.
Sorry, what was the last thing you heard me say? I don't know how my network just screamed me out.
We were still talking about the ability to learn, and I gave the illustration of the girl who cannot learn. But yeah, I think that was where we were.
Okay, so as I said, it's not so. Sometimes children will learn, of course, differently. So what you have just told me from that girl's story definitely is that the girl's learning method is not how she's being taught. So because if she's being taught the way she learns, she would also remember. So because in her own head, she's creating stories based on how she would perceive them. So for example, I was giving an analogy of how, say, she has a mathematics problem. So it's 1 + 1 = 2. So normally the traditional method of teaching would say maybe 1 + 1 = 2. But this kind of child will benefit better in saying that, oh, there's a garden of apples. And then the apple tree dropped 2 apples. How many? Okay, or dropped 1 apple. If you pick 1 apple and Shade picks and you remember it that way, compared to traditional 1 + 1 = 2. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, but there's a bit of delay from the network, but we can still hear you. I think it's network.
Okay.
Yeah, but go on.
All right. So as I was saying, it's not more about the overall learning of the child. It's more about the difficulty maybe that the child has. So for example, what you have told me, it means that the method in which students are currently being taught in that school would not go well with because again, our learning method is different from that. And as such, and the funny part of all this is the way educational system is for many parts of Africa is it focuses more on the generality and the difficulty of children. So for example, so the child that has written a book, you didn't even start. So for example, if a child has written a book, why will you now say, oh, they taught her something yesterday? Me, I don't even care about whether they taught her something yesterday, she did not remember. She wrote a book. Oh, she has, that means she has a return. So when people say things like, when you said, if they teach her something yesterday and she does not remember,
yeah,
people around her will say, oh, she forgets things easily, but the child wrote a book. That child doesn't forget easily. The way the child was communicated or taught that particular thing is what has affected it. So because for a child to write a book, it means that child has a high retention skill. They remember the story that they created. They wrote it down and they can continue with it.
Yeah.
That is high retention and processing skill. That the child is not able to process what is being taught means that the method of teaching is not suitable for that child. So what would happen many times is when children have this kind of different, learning style, is they would develop what is called, can you hear me?
Yes.
You're looking.
No, I can hear you. So I have 2 screens.
Okay,
so,
okay.
So...
Okay. Oh, okay. All right. I wanted to be sure my network had not thrown me out.
No.
So they will develop what is called an individualized educational plan. So such that the way that, so if, for example, they're teaching everybody 1+1 in school and it's a mainstream school with inclusion, an inclusive school, what they would have is they could also have a resource room that what has been taught in class can now be reinforced by a special education teacher or a learning resource teacher that now, say, okay, they've taught you all the long ass English in class. Okay, come here, let me teach you the way you would learn. So as opposed to say you're teaching that child biology, or you're teaching that child plant growth, or in Greek, instead of teaching that child with words, you would actually tell the child to plant beans and use that to teach the different things, as opposed to the way we would have written it in class. So that would really, really help the child. I think I've been able to answer that question.
Perfect.
So the
Perfect.
last yeah. So the last pillar is ability to contribute meaningfully to the society. So, and this is very important in the sense that from childhood, children already contribute meaningfully to society, right? So you have your 3-year-old with the last society, contributes meaningfully to the society. And I like to break it down into two core parts. So we have the micro and macro society. So from your 3-year-old, so you have a 3-year-old and you have a younger child. So you have a maybe 4-month-old baby. You would hear your 3-year-old saying that, oh, you probably have seen this picture before. You see a 3-year-old carrying their baby brother and trying to, lead the child.
Yeah.
Have you seen, I don't know if you've seen those kind of pictures, or the mom is trying to, they're trying to change diaper and the other one is bringing in the diaper like, mommy, let me help you to change it. Or they're trying to, so that process, that ability to understand that, oh, this is a place of need, let me put in my own effort here. That's also a major pillar for child wellness, mental wellness. So when we say a child is mentally healthy, what we're looking at is all the spectrum. The child is psychologically and emotionally developed. The child is able to form and build and maintain relationships, has a healthy, positive sense of self. Yes, can learn and acquire education, and is contributing meaningfully to the society. So even if it's house chores, so we have that. Yeah. So I hope I'll be able to exhaustively answer that question.
You did. You couldn't have said it any better. Thank you so much. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have your questions at this point also, I would like that you bring those questions up. I still have a couple of questions I'm going to ask Ruqoyah. But still, if you have yours, just drop it in the chat button. Okay. So my next question, Ruqoyah, is this. What must we notice or observe or see in our child to indicate that he or she is mentally well or not mentally well? At the beginning, I talked about my child also probably withdrawing at some point, and we feel, oh, are you sick? You need to see a doctor. But what do I need to see in my child to give me an indication that, okay, mentally, all those 5 pillars you talked about, is there any one of them? Do I need to link it to those 5 pillars again, or there are some specific things I need to watch out for in my child?
Yes. So I saw a comment that said my network is really dragging. I want to be sure that you can still hear me as I speak, not that it's stretching and all that.
We can hear you, but the network is dragging. Actually, it's slow, so there's a bit of delay in the words. Yeah. So maybe it's your location, I don't know, or maybe it's the network itself. Now it's frozen. Yeah, well, these are things that we really sometimes do not have a control over. Let's hope that we're able to bring Ruqoyah back in a few minutes. But still, yes, we have a couple of questions before we allow her to go tonight, and I have my notes of what I'm trying to type. Not yet back. Okay. All right. So I will like to ask, thank you so much, but I'd like to ask that you please come up with your questions now. I have a couple of questions to still ask her. It is really, really important that we understand the pattern and behavioral, the behavioral pattern of our children in order to be able to be not be perfectly be in control, but also be in charge and understand when they need help. A lot of children today are actually suffering from mental disorders. This is not when you say they're crazy or they're mentally disabled, or no, that's not what we're talking about. But when they actually have some major concerns around their mental wellness and parents are not able to identify them. A lot of time we are so occupied with the things we do, and we don't know what our children are passing through. And that is why we have brought this topic up this particular day of Children's Day, to help us to really know what are the things we need to watch out for. What does mental well-being mean? We've heard stories of 10-year-old child committing suicide in Nigeria. We've heard stories of bullying in school and children not really being able to excel in their academics because they are being bullied. We've heard stories of people also leaving, not being able to live up to the expectation because they are passing through some trauma and challenges either in school or at home. And a lot of time also our environment or we as parents are not helping. Okay, Ruqoyah is back. I'm just going to ask you to unmute. Osage says the topic is interesting. Adekumbi says, I wish we can extend the time. Okay, let's see what we can do today. Usually we always try to keep MCTB into 90 minutes, but let's see how we can flow today. Ruqoyah, okay, say something to be sure that you're
all right. Can you hear me clearly now?
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you. So before I take my question, let's take the question of Osage. It says, but how can we get teachers to understand some of these concepts? Is there any program for them? Okay, I will ask that you keep this question because I know there are programs for them. Okay. So let's keep this question till the end. Osage, if I don't ask that question, please remind me again. But take this question that what do we need to notice in our child? What are the indicative factors to tell me my child is mentally well or my child is not mentally well?
Okay, so because of the stigma and the level of understanding with regards to mental health, when people say mentally unwell, I used to feel somehow. So let's just use psychological distress in this, because of course, quite a number of times when people want to say that somebody is not acting the way they want them to act, this person is not acting mentally normal. So I'm feeling somehow. All right, so when it comes to child mental health and when children are having maybe psychological distress or they're having some mental health problems, so first things first, how old is your child? If your child is under 5 or under 3, the first things I want you to learn, in fact, it's not even just under 5, everybody. You see, the first pillar that I mentioned was optimal psychological and emotional development. So everybody here, I'm going to send you some links, right? Everybody here must learn the emotional and psychological developmental milestone of their children at their age and at the ages they're going to. So for example, if you tell me that your 5-year-old does not have, your 7-year-old does not have any friends, does not like to play with friends, does not like to keep to themselves, at home, does not like to, okay. If you tell me your 7-year-old does not like to interact with you at home, that when you're at home, normally you would expect that your 7-year-old is at least somewhat all over you. Mommy, can I have this biscuit? I saw this biscuit in the fridge. Can I take it? Mommy, I saw this, this book. My teacher said they will still be talking. So if you have a 7-year-old that just keeps to themselves at home, they're not talking, I will be worried. But if you told me your 14-year-old or your 15-year-old keeps to themselves and does not want to participate in people, I will not be worried. Why? Because again, developmental milestones of each group of children. So 7-year-olds are still somewhat attached to you. They still see you as almighty mommy, almighty daddy. They don't see you as someone that can lie. They don't see you as someone that can hurt them in a healthy family setting. They see you as their support system. But you see, 15-year-old is more interested in chatting with their friends on their phone, going out to hang out with their friends. As such, if you are interfering with that, they don't want, mommy, can I go now? So first things first, learn the developmental milestones of your child. Then after learning, so to understand whether my child now has psychological distress or not, you now want to match it. So for example, under 5, under 6, you want to match it. Oh, is my child's behavior appropriate for their age? That's one. Number 2, when children go through psychological distress, there are 5 core symptoms that you would see, or you may see some of them. Number 1, hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but the 3-year-old is in already, so she's into the stuff.
And then she wants to have a discussion. Please let her say hi to us now.
All right, come. Yeah, but I doubt if you want to go again.
Abby?
Okay, please go on.
All right. So the first one we'll talk about is behavioral change. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine.
I'm fine.
Now you have to go to mommy now.
What's your name?
What's your name? No, look at this camera. This one. What's your name?
She wants to stay here. What's your name?
Our name is Ayilojoluwa LJ. All right,
What's
so
her
LJ,
name?
good. Our name is Ayilojoluwa, but we call her LJ.
Ayilojoluwa. Hey,
Yes.
hey. They mean Ayilojoluwa. Oh God.
LJ, you have to go now. Go and give this to mommy. Okay, thank you. Okay, sorry about that. Let's go.
Okay, so one of the first things you can notice in your child is behavioral change. So behavioral change in the sense that, so for example, somebody said arrogant.
Bilkis, leave me alone.
It's Bilkis. All right, so behavioral change. Behavioral change in the sense that the child can become socially withdrawn. So this child used to be the life of the party, he's always everywhere. And all of a sudden, you just notice your child is not talking to anybody. They're just socially withdrawn. And this has gone on for more than 2 weeks. That can actually be a sign of psychological distress. Another one can now be aggressive behavior. So this child used to be like, very awesome, pleasant child. And you just notice that behavior is deteriorating. They're fighting people. They're talking back to their teachers. They're talking back to their aunts, their uncles, even you or your spouse. That can also be a sign, because again, you already know what the normal temperament of that child is. So when there's a difference in behavior and it's for over a sustained period of time, that can be a sign. Another one is sudden drop in academic performance. So you've always known that your child is at 80%, 70%, and consistently over a period of time, the academic performance have been dropping. You've changed lesson teachers. You've gone to different schools. You're just noticing that can actually also be it. Another one is regression in already achieved milestones. So all of a sudden, your 7-year-old or your 9-year-old is bedwetting again. They're becoming clingy again. That can also be a sign. Or it could also be that they're so anxious now. They're moody. They're sad all the time. That can also be a sign. Then the last one is, I've mentioned behavioral regression. So another one can actually now be that when they actually consistently have been, so for example, you have a 6-year-old and at home, you are complaining about their behavior. At school, they're complaining about their behavior. So it's not just that, it can be hyperactivity. The parents, you're complaining that this boy is always playing, every time playing. At school, the teachers are always saying that your son is always playing. Your daughter is always saying she wants to go eat herself. She wants to go and drink water. Those can actually be signs of psychological, behavioral, emotional disorders. So when you notice any of this, then you can now speak to a therapist and now begin to get help. But these are basically the signs that you would notice.
Thank you so much. I was also about asking, what do we do then? But you just said it. So you need to speak with your therapy. And also, you may probably need to get counselors for your children or for your child. And I think that's part of the things also that we do in Sane Mind. So I'm going to take a question from someone in the network, and says, what is the role of environment on a child's mental health? Where I live, the kind of environment I live in, Ogunbiyi, I live in Adhd, does it really have effect on my child's health, mental health?
Okay. All right. Can you hear me clearly? Because I think I saw you freeze on my own screen just now. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you. Yes, I can. We can all hear you.
Okay. Okay, perfect.
We
I
cannot
usually say that there are some things that they are distant cousins and distant cousins to mental health problems. So, for example, you can't hear me again.
We cannot hear you, unfortunately. Okay. Network today is really doing what they call Ojoro for us. So let's still hope that we're able to bring Ruqoyah back. While we wait for Ruqoyah to come, is Samuel still on the line? Samuel is short, sir. Oh, okay. Yes, Samuel, can you unmute yourself? Are you there? We're gonna have an interlude before we get Ruqoyah back. Samuel Oshiotse, are you there? If you're there, just unmute yourself. I really have very good friends that can talk about children. Okay, someone isn't there, I guess. So we're still gonna have him. All right. So we have a couple of questions. I wish I can go on with this, but it is not my forte. I'm not a child mental health expert. So we hope that we are still able to get Ruqoyah back into the program. But while we wait for Ruqoyah, we definitely have to do something else. So if you have your child with you, may I ask that you please let your child come on video and let's celebrate them. It's still it's still Children's Day, and we would like to celebrate them. So please unmute yourself and let's hear from your child. We also can learn from them, right? So don't sit on my back. I have one of them like that here. So if you have a child, just come on video, let your child come on video, and let's hear them how they celebrated their Children's Day today. And at the same time, I will try to get Ruqoyah back on the phone. Is anyone there that you want your child to say something? You want us to learn from your child? You want your child to share what he or she learned today? Please do so. Network is really doing Ojoro today.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Okay, welcome back.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
Is it better now? Can you hear me? Is it better?
Yes, loud and clear.
And I hope this is way better.
Loud and clear.
Great.
We can hear you.
Okay.
All
so
right,
again, I apologize for our network here in Nigeria on behalf of whoever is responsible for network.
No problem.
Right. It's better now. All right. So you were asking me about environment. Awesome.
Yes.
So yes. I said that there are some things that they are like distant cousins to mental health problems. So for example, if I'm living in a place, I'm looking for how to bring this concept. So there's a concept called adult childhood experience. There's also a concept about cycle, the prevalent cycle. So for example, if I live in Ikoyi, for example, and my daughter is being raised in Ikoyi too, and in that environment, what happens is, the children go to a particular school, say BIS. From BIS, they move to a school in London and all that. There's a high chance that all the children in that environment will follow that cycle. One, of course, apart from the fact that the parents, you're muted, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I have to mute you because of your 3-year-old here.
Okay. So, apart from the fact that the parents who have the same, it also means that the children in that environment will have, you can mute yourself again if she's trying to have a discussion with you. So it also means that the children in that environment will have a sense of achievement, or the role modeling in that environment. So the role modeling in that environment will be that go to this wonderful school. From this wonderful school, you go to this wonderful school. That is what environment can do for you in the grand scale. There's role modeling. So if I'm living in Ikoyi, there's role modeling of some sort happening there. If I'm living in Ajegunle, and what happens is, okay, I grew up in Oshodi. So let me use myself as an example. I grew up in Oshodi, right? And the prevailing circumstance in Oshodi was that you finish secondary school, the girls learn hairdressing, tailoring, or you get pregnant. And many times while you're learning all those things, you get pregnant, right? Many times while they're learning, they get pregnant. The boys, on the other hand, would finish school and then work in the factories around Toyota, Ladiko. I don't know if you know Lagos well, but these are industrial, yeah. So these areas had lots of companies. So quite a number of children from Mafoluku, Oshodi, they work there. And what would happen? These boys have more money than the regular boys now. So they wear the sneakers, they wear the nice. On Sundays, you see them parading the street like, hello, Sunday. Hi, good afternoon. You know, so it became, and you know the funny thing, it was not like as if they ever told anybody that, go and work in Chivita. It was just a prevailing thing. The people around, the older guys did that. The younger guys still did that. And what would happen? After getting small money, they would go to Last Hotel, go to one school. However, what now happens is there's a high chance that without external intentional effort, children in that environment will continue that cycle. And I grew up in that environment. My parents were educated, however, and they were stern Muslims. There was no way I could get pregnant. My mother would rather die. Oh good. She'd rather kill me, Seb. than for her to see me with one boy. I remember as a teenager. Oh God, I'm laughing at this. Thank God she's not in my house. She would not be saying, no, I remember as a teenager, I had like 5 people that my mom had told, let me to be monitoring my daughter.
Wow. Wow.
Again, it means that without that intentionality, that cycle is all the child can think of, is all the child can aspire to. So, I'm breaking down environment into different bits. So this is the first stage of it, the aspiration level and cycle, or the cycle in that environment. So children, whether we like it or not, they pick role models in the environment. I remember when I was growing, right? I had one auntie that was like my role model. She used to use hijab. She was dark, really fine. And she was I think she was in one school in Kwara, maybe Kwara Poly. And you know, compared to the other ladies that just got pregnant, she seemed like the one that had done better. So I was like, oh, I like this auntie. Whenever she comes back from school, and I noticed that I'll go to their house, go and greet her. Good afternoon, Auntie Sarah. How are you? I'm fine. How is school? I'll be asking how is school. I see I know what they're teaching her. When our friends are talking about anything, I'll sit down and be listening to them. Because, so whether we like it or not, children pick role models from the environment, and the environment that they're raised in can form that level of aspiration. That's one level. So that level of aspiration can now be like a distant cousin. So for example, in the place where they go to higher education, they have higher level of exposure. It means that financial power is higher. It means that when they finish school, they're more likely to work in a consulting firm. They're more likely to earn more, right? Compared to someone who, after secondary school, started sewing clothes for very small money, because of course, who is going to pay her very huge money? And then she gets pregnant. The occurrence of mental health problems is going to be higher in that kind of cycle compared to the other one where they actually go on with education. This is me just isolating one event. I'm not saying those are all the things. I'm just giving you different stuff. So when you say that you're raising your child in Ajegunle, my own question now is, what is your own extra effort? You can't be like, oh, you can't lolocks in Ajegunle. You can't lolocks. Even when you're raising your child in Ikoyi, because remember, I was just choosing a singular occurrence. The children there could also be using drugs. That can also be a cycle. So you want to understand what is the cycle of prevalence. What is the cycle? What is going on in my environment? Oh, because and you know this, we're very hypocritical in this part. We're very hypocritical. We hear that, okay, say your neighbor's son, we're living in Ruqoyah, all of us were all posh. My neighbor's son, I hear somehow that, oh, the boy is using drugs and all that. They're like, it's because his father and mother is not always around. Instead of us to use that to understand that this is a cycle in this environment. It means that children in this environment have access to this kind of thing. This is something that is going on. So wherever you're raising your child, it's not even more. I usually say the environment is important, but what level of intentionality are you putting in? So you want to understand the cycle that is prevalent in your environment, and you are being intentional. So I've broken society into aspiration.
Wow.
The next level of society is, what is the level of experiences? What kind of experiences are the children exposed to? Is that environment an environment where the children consistently, so for example, if you're raising your child in the West, so in the UK, in the US, where being Black is a thing. So for example, if I was raising my child in Nigeria, my child does not understand the concept of Black. The concept of Blackness comes when we travel outside to the West. We don't know what Black is here, because last you are yellow, and it's not a thing.
Abi?
Right? So if you're raising your child in an environment that innately, based on who they are, they're exposed to certain segregation. So for example, you are raising your child in the US, so it means that your Black child is going to face racism, whether you like it or not. It also now means that in the background of those children, and that's why, you know, when Black Americans are talking about, so when people say things like, oh, but slavery is over now, why they say there's generational thought and mindset. So whether slavery ended 10 million years ago, the generational mindset is still there. So if a child is consistently being afraid for their life because, oh, somebody could just shoot them for being Black, the child cannot play around their neighbor's porch or something because the guy can just shoot them down because he thinks that it's just someone that is coming to raid them. If they're in school where they're the only ones that are Black, and some people will pick on them for being that, when they're in environment. So understanding what is prevalent, again, it still goes back. What's prevalent in my environment? We're also raising your child in a place where there's war. So for example, a child that is being raised in maybe somewhere like South Sudan, or there's prevalence of, there's prevalence of disease, right? These are adverse childhood experiences that children go through. And the worst part of this is, so adverse childhood experiences are experiences that trigger fear center, right? So as we're having this discussion now, I'm enjoying myself and all that. If something like maybe, I don't know, if lion can come from the sky or from the ceiling and drops on my laptop right now, there's a high chance that of course, I'm afraid. I will care less about this video. I'm running for my life. So my brain goes into that fight or flight mode. And that is wonderful if I see something really dangerous. But if a child is exposed, or an individual is exposed to something that triggers their fear and flight hormones every time, it means that it will override their thinking faculty. Because, you know, when you're afraid or when you want to fight something, are you thinking about, oh, is my jab well set? Oh, I don't know how Tokwe will feel if I'm fighting this lion. No. Is it appropriate to fight it like this or just push it a little? You're not thinking, you just want to survive. You're moving on. So if you're not inconsistently in psychological, and this is not just for physical fear, there's also psychological fear. So if a child is being abused, whether physically, emotionally, psychologically, so this is where environment now comes in. So whether it's in the family, in the school, or in the entirety of the society, is this child going through any form of adverse childhood experiences? If the child is going through any form of adverse childhood experiences, then that environment is not healthy. You need to remove that child from that environment. So when you talked about environment, I know you were talking about environment as a location, but I've broken it down into the different angles that it's
another master class.
So, because again, when we talk about mental health, it's easy for mental health problems in children. It's easy for us to think of genetics, but we forget that these are the other things that add up that eventually affect children's mental health. So the family is going through a divorce, and it's really brutal. Custody is going like this. The children are going through different psychological and emotional instability. That is an adverse childhood experience. The child is witnessing abuse. The parents are always fighting. They're always beating one another. That is an adverse childhood experience. So no matter how
environmental influence may not even be in terms of location. It's
not location. In fact, location is a grand scheme.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Great.
So your
environment
is very important. All right. I think I've been able to cover that on environment. So you want to?
You did.
You're welcome.
You did. So now I still have a lot of questions, but let me allow others to ask the questions. So I'm going to go to the chat button. We have about 15 minutes to go.
Are you serious?
So yes. Okay. So let's take Osage's question. How can we get teachers to understand some of those concepts? Is there any program for them? So talk to us about Sane Mind.
Oh, okay. So basically, even outside of Sane Mind, one of the important concepts that we miss out in this part of the world is actually teacher training with regards to child mental health. Children spend half of their wake hours in school. So the quality of interaction that they have there can actually make or mar their mental health. It's also a place where you can actually quickly identify their whether they have any form of mental health problems. So at Sane Mind, we actually have a couple of school programs, right, where we actually do parent-teacher trainings like this, right? We speak at the PTAs. We also help them institute training programs for the teachers, and even programs that can be in school. So anti-bullying policies in schools should be much more concrete than, if somebody is bullying you, report to the teacher. You know, all those kind of really ridiculous. So when I report and then they pick that one, the others will not now talk to me because I've picked them. They will not say, don't talk to her, she go and report it to guidance and counseling.
Exactly. Or you catch her later outside.
Yes. So you have, who is going to, and it's true, it happens. So who is going to protect you now? Go and tell the auntie now. Go and tell the auntie. However, so for schools, again, so if your school, so another thing we've been doing recently is actually to tell people, okay, we can do free PTA programs for your school. All you just have to do is recommend us, introduce us to your children's school, and we'll be willing to do that, because I know for a fact that if parents and teachers are not on the same level of knowledge with regards to child mental health, one person will jeopardize the work of the other. Whether it's the teacher jeopardizing that of the parent, or parent jeopardizing the work of the teachers. So at Sane Mind, we have training programs.
How can we reach out to you?
Okay,
can you share some of your and
Yeah, so you can send us an email at info@sanemind.org. Info, like INFO @sanemind.org. All right, you're typing up. Or you can send us a DM on Instagram. Yes, on Instagram at SaneMindNG. Email is great. Instagram DM is great. If you send us a DM, there's a high chance we'll still tell you to send us an email and all that. But those are the two places you can really, really reach out to us.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for those that may be listening or watching this after now, maybe on YouTube, you may not see the comments part. So let me just say that again. Send email to info@sanemind.org. Sane is SANEMIND.org. Or you follow our on Instagram at SaneMindNG. You can also check with me. I will give you the contact details and link you up. So you can also follow me at Tokwe Bandele. Or those of you on the MCTB network, you know how we do it. All right. Okay. Right. So Yes, so let me take another question from Adekumbi Barton. It says, he or she said, what can make a child to be easily distracted in class and slow in writing?
Okay, so if you're saying that, I presume the child is 6 and above, because that's when, okay, this is really, really many times a concern. So when a child is easily distracted, I have so many other questions. Or do they forget things easily? Do they lose their stuff, whether their pen, their pencil, their notepad, their notebook, different things? If all the answer is yes, then you would actually, you actually need an assessment. Because if a child is easily distracted and they're 6 and above, it could actually be a sign of a behavioral disorder that is called ADHD. ADHD, it's called, the full is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. And this kind of children are usually called daydreamers. They're usually said to be hyperactive. They don't sit still in class. And it will not be just you that I've noticed. That's why I remember in one of the signs that I talked about, I said it has to be across all settings. You are complaining. The teachers are complaining. The extracurricular, say the swim instructor is also complaining. So when you have that, that means that there's actually a challenge there. And so you need further assessment. Okay, so first things first, you want to do an assessment to actually rule out this disorder or confirm diagnosis. So if you now have confirmed that, oh, maybe this child has ADHD, one of the many things you do is modification. So for example, we already now know that this child has difficulty paying attention for 40 minutes. So there are different tests that they usually do, and some of them will actually help monitor the time that the child is able to maintain concentration. So if, for example, in a 40 minutes class, the child's attention is just there for like 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, they're distracted. So it means that this kind of child is not the child you want to put at the back of the class. It's a child that sits in front of the class. It's not a child that is in a class that there are different colors, that, all those very sensory stimulating classes.
Yeah, sensory, okay.
That child would get easily distracted. It also now means that once it's 8 minutes, you call the child's name. Joshua, hi, how are you? Could you tell me the last thing you heard? You are not going to leave this to chance. You would continuously prompt the child. So it also now means they will forget things easily because they're easily distracted. So one of the things you may want to do is also put stickers. So for example, you tell your son to go, you tell your son, I'll come to that. You tell your son to go upstairs. Say, for example, you live in a duplex. So your kitchen is at the far end of the house. So you're telling your son from the kitchen, now go to my room. The room is at the last end upstairs. So you see that there are like two extremes, right? You tell your son, go to my room, bring my bag, my phone, and my shoes. A 9-year-old is supposed to be able to get that. A 7-year-old is supposed to get all three. However, children that are easily distracted. Okay, mommy, they did not even finish hearing the instruction. So, okay, mommy, when they now got to the step, they now saw their younger sister's coloring. Well, this I put a coloring book here. Now take it. See the thing that she did, oh. They have forgotten that mommy said, Joshua, mom, come, I'm going. You will not drop that thing. You will not go. You will not get to the room. You will not see the mommy's wig. You will not say, let me try this mommy's wig. All these days I've been wanting to try it. You will try the mommy's wig. The mommy will shout again, Joshua, you will not carry just the bag and the wrong shoes. So that kind of child, what you would do?
I can relate with this.
So what you would do is when you tell the child, instead of saying, Joshua, when are you coming now? You will now reiterate it again. Joshua, my bag, my red shoes, and my book. The book on the table. So don't touch my wig. You're not shouting. It's not, me, I'm saying it because I'm far at end of the kitchen. The child is in my room. So I'm saying like that, not out of, so unlike how you would have said it as a Yoruba person now. So, King Barrow, one time I cannot tell you sometimes you hear it. No, she cannot hear it. So now you will know that once that child has gone, you want to remind that child. So if they were doing assignments, so that's another thing you would do. If they were working with their laptop, you can put in some prompters that says, stop video game at 4:30. Have you finished your assignments? Those continuous prompters, right? And of course, if the child already has a diagnosis, right, there are some medications that can also help with concentration and all that. So if the child has a diagnosis and different level of severity, they can actually recommend that the child take certain medication, which also helps the child, in all honesty, helps the child more, right? I usually say, well, ADHD medications are like magic because the way they work, they improve the quality of life of that child immediately.
How often will the child use this medication? Or for how long?
You see now, that is where you want to corner me. I'm not answering.
Okay, please don't. So all right. So let's
okay. So again, really dependent. No. It's not about consultation. It's because of our stigma with regards it. So I don't want to say that for as long as it takes, because the parents will not be like, forever and ever. So first things first, depending on the diagnosis that has been gotten and its severity to determine. So let your child psychiatrist or neurologist answer that question. It's not me that you corner house site. I will not say that the child will use it forever and never. One mommy will not allow her child to use this drug.
But you've actually answered that. All right. Thanks so much. There's a question from Osage. Is there a level of understanding a parent need to have that can help us tailor kids towards a career, or we just leave them to do their thing? But how much can a parent get involved with a child's career based on understanding of some of those points?
Okay, so one of the things I would recommend to all parents is improve the level of intelligence of your child, the avenues of intelligence. So in Africa, we're very known to be academic intelligent people, in the sense that our children start school earlier than many children all over the world. Our children start school more earlier, and the focus of schooling in many parts of Africa is academic learning. However, their counterparts in the UK, say for example, you have a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old, or let's use 9, that's the older child, a 9-year-old. Their counterpart in the UK has gym classes, has ballet classes, has swimming classes, has tried at least 3 different types of sports. But it's only on entire sports day your child used to go to field.
You will even not let them go because they might hurt themselves. And you tell them, don't go there, don't run.
Exactly. So what you have done to your 9-year-old is, and the thing about the brain is, children, babies have more nerve templates than adults. It's what you use that you get. So what you have now done is you have now streamlined the capacity of that brain to math, English, social studies, business studies. However, their mates in the UK has gone through different classes so that by the time they're in high school, they have developed different interests. So first things first, open up that channel. Your child is in school learning academic knowledge. Great. Let them learn swimming. Let them enroll in another language class. Whether they're excelling at it or not, what you're at the very least, you're opening up their own ability to their interest in different things. And before you know it, they can pick up one thing. And then there are certain things that are already innate to your child. So for example, I, as a child, have always been a child that speaks eloquently, clearly, nice voice and all that. So I was a child that they will call talkative. So instead of calling me talkative, one of the things my parents could have done is maybe take me to a public speaking class or a voiceover academy or, different things. So what are the things that are innately your child's strength? And at Sane, we have this questionnaire we even use for parents. So there are certain things that are already innately, your child is already exhibiting some of them. So for example, I told you about my friend's daughter that set up Zoom. That girl is, in fact, I used to tell her mother that if this child has not developed app by age 12, I'll be pained, because she has that capacity. She designs robots. Robots, I think she even did one robot that fold clothes recently. I was like, this child is even tired of folding clothes. She have helped me to design robots. Well, just pack laundry, give her. Before you know it's now, she will design a robot that irons clothes. So your child already has that innate capacity, things that they are naturally gravitating towards. So you can actually even build on that. So this, my friend, definitely one of the things they're doing is robotics class, things that are around ICT, STEM, things like that. So creativity also means that this child can have some level of imagining things and bring them to life. So she can do well in teams that are developing different things. So this is definitely something you want to do. So first things first, open up those channels. Let your child be enrolled in at least 5 things, regardless of their age. Let them be enrolled. There's school, there's sports, there's music, there's art, there's languages. Amongst that 5, they will pick one. Then the ones that are innately their strength, build on it. Yeah.
Great. Wow. Thank you so much. We've done 90 minutes. I want to stick to this 90 minutes. Bilkis, you asked what happens when adults also forget things. Well, go to adult class. Today is about it. Yeah, we want to talk about our kids today. So thanks so much, Ruqoyah. I had fun today. I've learned a lot. I have 3 kids, and today I'm sure that the mom also is listening there out there. And we've really gained a lot. We've gained a lot. What are your last words for us today? What are the things you're working on? What are the things you want us to be involved in? How can Sane Mind help us? Okay. Do you have any programs? You talked about the books and stuff like that. Share a little bit in about a minute with us on what other things we can benefit from you and how we can go about that.
Bilkis is distracting me. She's not. Okay, so manager is on the line. All right, so how I can help basically is we can do what is called a child audit, and assuming we had time, I told you I was going to actually get to that. So a child audit is literally you looking at the life of your child and literally saying, oh, these are the positives, these are the not so great parts of my life. I remember how I had said that the circumstance in which your child is raised is actually the greatest determinant. So first things first, you can actually contact me for us to work on a child audit. And more importantly, the reason we're doing that is to identify the areas of difficulties in your child's life, and you can work on it. And I think I talked about all those distant cousins, adverse childhood experiences. So if your child already has some adverse childhood experiences, you're not the one that wants to say, let's just wing parenting. You can't wing parenting. You want to have a strategy. So I can do that with you one-on-one. Just send me an email or a DM. So the other thing I would also recommend is we have this product at our organization. It's called the Positive Affirmation Flashcards. And each pack contains a family bonding calendar. And remember how I'd said, again, childhood experiences are very essential. So this calendar now contains different activities that you can do with your children to help build their mental health. And their affirmation cards are awesome in the sense that they help build positive sense of self. They help build confidence and self-esteem, which is very essential. I usually say that if the child has all if the child will miss anything on the 5 pillars, it shouldn't be positive sense of self. Because with positive sense of self, regardless of whatever the child is going through, they can thrive. Without positive sense of self, regardless of all the things the child has, they may not thrive. So the positive affirmation flashcards help build that in the children, so you can enroll in that. We have a couple of programs. We have self-esteem building program coming up in July, right? You can enroll in that. And of course, remember how I said that it's not just about the fact that, oh, my child does not has poor self-esteem. In the overall development of children, they begin to give in to self and to acceptance, peer acceptance, wanting to belong to amongst their peers. And this can ultimately begin to affect their confidence and their self-esteem. And we don't want to wait till we don't want to wait till I don't know why this lady is distracting me. You don't want to wait till something is going.
No.
Oh, okay. I'm so grateful for that. Okay, so you don't want to wait for something to be wrong before you start solving certain challenges. So I usually have this malaria analogy that I use. I say that, okay, before your child has malaria, one of the things you do is you use insecticide-treated nets. You use insecticides in your home. You ensure that, you don't open it for those of us in West Africa, in Africa, actually, we're the ones concerned about malaria. So you put in all those preventive strategies, right? So having that positive affirmation flashcard, booking a session, those are preventive strategies. Because when your child has malaria, you eventually take them to the hospital. After treating them, you still put in those preventive strategies. Those preventive strategies with regards to mental health are very essential because they are the one. Because with mental health, you can't say, if mosquito, unlike malaria, if mosquito bites me, I have malaria. With mental health, you can't even say which one my child will have. And you don't even want to go through the stress because one of the things I told myself as a clinician was, I don't want to see children with depression. So that's literally why I'm doing actually the work that I'm doing. Because if we can prevent it, let us work at preventing it, because the quality of life that is lost when children have mental health problems is huge. It's really, really huge. So yeah, we have the positive affirmation flashcards. It's 5,000 Naira for Nigerians. If you're outside Nigeria, I think it's about $14 or something with I can't really say the exchange rate these days and all that. So yeah, you can just send me a DM.
You're on MCTB, okay? This is masterclass with Topper Bandele. Are we getting any discounts? I think
we have
yes, say yes.
Believe this. Okay, so on the flashcards, we have a 10% discount on that, and for consultations, we have about 5% on consultation. Somebody is saying say yes, yeah. Wow. But for the flashcards, we have a 10% discount on that. For consultation, anytime I speak anywhere, and there's a 5% discount founders fee on it. So but then you have to, when you come to the DM, you have to post MT masterclass.
MCTB. Yes,
MCTB.
it's from MCTB.
You have to put MCTB, or else my people will not know that you are from MCTB. Yeah, so when you send an email or a DM, please put MCTB. But again, remember, I really want you to understand preventive strategies are very essential. You can't sit on this. You can't sit on this. I don't even want to go into the gory details of children that I have seen, and I would just shake my head that if only this was changed, if this had been done and all that. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Ruqoyah. I wish I can just keep you here for the next 2 hours and make this a whole series. Thank you so much. You've really done an amazing job here tonight. I want to say a very big thank you. For those of you listening to us, and when you're going to listen later, Ruqoyah did this pro bono. I did not pay her for this. And I know how much we would have paid if you have to really consult someone in a class. So thank you so much, Ruqoyah. I really appreciate you coming on the show tonight. And I'm so sure that value has been added. And that's what we do on this show. We just want to add value to people's life. We just want to give back. And I'm so sure that the children also will definitely, out of the benefit they will get from their parents, from their teachers, because they were in this class, they will pray for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, every one of you that are watching and listening to us tonight. Thanks for joining. This is MCTB, and this is Topper Bandele. I'm so happy that you're behind this brand, you're behind this program for the last 21 modules that we've had. Module 22 is coming very soon, and you'll be surprised again at what we have for you. So I don't want us to bell the cats yet. And thank you so much, Bilkis, for bringing Ruqoyah to the show. Now you've claimed to be the manager. Well done. You are the manager. I am the PA. Then let's see how it goes.
Thank you so much. I have staff that is not on my payroll. All of a sudden, I have staff.
Yes, so you have staff that are not on your payroll now. And parents, please endeavor to celebrate these children. When you have Mother's Day, Father's Day, you celebrate yourself. It's Children's Day. Some of them didn't go out today. Maybe tomorrow you can just find a way of taking them out. The weekend is there. Let them really enjoy your money. Let them spend your money and let them enjoy it. And it's not just about money. It's also about the time that you dedicate for them, the time that you give to them. When you give time to your child, you're actually giving life. That is the way I say it. I keep telling people, no amount of work will take away my child's time. And that's why even if I'm in meetings like this, I try not for them to distract, but if they insist, if they want it, sorry, those are the people I'm actually working for. All right. Thank you so much, Ruqoyah, for coming on the show tonight. Till I come your way again with another edition of MCTB. This is Dr. Bandele. Thank you very much. Enjoy. It's not weekend yet, but of course, enjoy the rest of the evening and also your weekend as it comes. Thank you. God bless. Bye. By the way, okay, if you're still there, yes, follow me on Instagram at Dr. Bandele. You get more details of the program, and also we're going to have it on YouTube. Eman, please, let's try and put this on YouTube by tomorrow or next. Then you can feel free to share. Let me just put the YouTube link again for those that probably are not aware of the YouTube page. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Okay, I'm just going to post the YouTube link again. Go on that YouTube link and you will see all the previous modules that we've done. And if you want to be part of MCTB network as well, just follow me on Instagram and send me a DM and I will add it to the MCTB network. Thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Bye.
Slam dunk, are you ready?